In the United States, we are fortunate to have vast areas of wilderness that are freely available for camping, exploring, and enjoying the beauty that abounds. During the monsoon season in northern New Mexico, the almost daily rains nurture wildflowers in a large variety of colors and delicate shapes. New Mexico is also home to vast deposits of interesting minerals. Not surprisingly, Pawtucket is a popular destination for mineral collectors like myself, who are looking to find buried treasure in the form of rare and interesting specimens. It is especially exciting when these specimens are collected in undisturbed areas, meaning they have weathered out of the formations where they originated millions of years ago and have been moved along by natural forces over the eons to arrive at the spot where I find them. Surveying a large area and analyzing the specimens found allows me to not only put together a picture of where they came from, but also where I might find even more. I'm here at my favorite spot in southern New Mexico, and I've actually made several videos from this locality, and I actually discovered quite a few nice specimens down in this hole the last couple of times I was here. And in fact, this whole area up here is pretty hot. I think this is where the pegmatite is actually located, and you can see there are quite a few holes around here that I've dug, and most of them are just dispersed hotspots. But after finding those nice crystals down there, I decided there must be some more of them up here, perhaps in this pegmatite right under the surface. And sure enough, I started digging and I came across this nice little guy. Has the same sort of greenish tinge that nice specimen had that I pulled up last time I was here. Is a nice big crystal in matrix. So this time I'm going to try digging in this spot again, and it's pretty hard digging. It's pretty much coming out of rock right now, but after finding this one specimen, I think that's motivated me to keep on digging. So in fact, I've found a pretty localized spot down here. It's really hot. This is right next to where I pulled out that little specimen, and so I'm preparing to dig around this spot. I'm hoping to pull something out of matrix, or still in the matrix, and while trying to clear out my staging area over here, there's a hot spot here as well, so I'm going to have to get that one out of there. So I'll have this area over here to put my dirt. So whatever it is that's in my staging area here has gotten quite hot. All right, so after pulling out a couple of those rocks, it's now gone cold, my hole, my dirt in the staging area. It's quite toasty. So let me see if I can grab it here. Oops. Yeah. Let me see which one of these it could be. Yeah, that appears to be it. Let me see if there's anything else. Let's see, I'll put this over here on my glove. See if there's anything else here. No, that appears to be it. And it looks like it's got some nice crystal form to it. So that's a nice find. And this isn't even the hot spot I was going after, which is over here a little bit, but I'll get to that here in a minute. So washing this off with a little water And you can see this is actually a fabulous specimen. Look at all this twinning going on here. This is a, looks like a perfect crystal. The shape's kind of typical of what I find out here, but this twinning here is really exceptional. So I think this is what I've been after. Looks like a nice crystal, still in the matrix there. So I'm gonna have to be very careful how I pry that out of there. I'm gonna try to get it out with some matrix as well. But yeah, that looks like it could be a nice specimen. I'll show you how hot it is. Yeah, that's got to be it. This is what I collected in about a half day. I arrived here about noon in southern New Mexico, and I'm headed up to northern New Mexico to the Petaca district. But this wasn't bad for just a stopover where I'll spend the night. And these are actually some very nice specimens, especially these three. This one here, it kind of looks like a mountain range with all the twinning going on here. So that's a very nice crystal. And then this is the one I pulled right out of the pegmatite. Just a perfect crystal in itself. And then this one actually is a little cluster of two crystals. So these are very nice specimens. So this is my first stop in the Petaca district. I decided to find a new spot, new to me anyway. It's a historical prospect that I was told about, and it was quite a hike here because the road is washed out, and so I had to hike maybe, I don't know, half mile or so up the hill. Here I am at the prospect, and it's got a huge tailings pile that I climbed up, and I hadn't really gotten any hits on my own, but then I was attracted to this hole that I noticed it looked like somebody else had dug. I can actually see their diggings, and sure enough, it seems like there's something in here. They probably gave up too quickly. So I'm gonna see what I can find here. So right down there next to those trees is where I found that one hot rock. And right up here is the open adit. I don't think I would want to go in there, but it's does it look like it's been blocked off at all? If somebody were adventuresome and knew what they were doing. So there's the tailings of that mine, and I decided to walk back to the road, so I'm headed back downhill, and I seem to have gotten a little hit here. So let's see if we can localize it here. It's not very strong, but it seems to be pretty localized. And that's a good sign. Okay, let me just scrape away a little bit of dirt there. Oh, nice soft digging here. Nothing but composted vegetation. Okay, that's sounding good. I think I got part of it at least. Whew. Keeps escaping me here. Well, whatever it is not very big, but it is hot. There it is. So this is pretty exciting because it's quite a hike up here, and if I hadn't found anything but that other piece of red monazite or whatever it is, I would have been a little disappointed. But this looks like it's a nice piece of euxenite. It's not a lot of crystalline form to it, but it gives me an idea. I'm sure there's more stuff like this up here, so I'm going to continue looking around for a while. Well, now that I've cleared out those little two pieces, it seems like there's another one up here a little higher. So let me spend a little bit of time here. All right, so this turned out to be a much bigger specimen. Got a nice side of mica over here, but then the whole thing is pretty darn hot. Oops, wrong side. I've done that more than once. So you see, it's a hot specimen. Looks like it's got some nice crystal form to it as well. So then this may give us a clue as to who was last to mine this. I'm not sure what it is, but somebody was smoking out of a can. Those of you all who have seen some of my other videos from the Pawtucket district will no doubt recognize this spot. It's where I frequently park, right next to this road, where we found a couple of hundred specimens. And since the beginning of the monsoon season, it has rained a lot here, and you can tell that a lot of silt and rocks have washed down this road and have actually filled in most of the places where we've excavated. So it's hardly even recognizable except for the biggest holes. Even they are partially filled in. I figured I would take advantage of the fact that the ground is so soft and finish excavating this big hole, which is still quite hot. It's got a lot of specimens in it. So that's what I'm going to be up to today. Stay close to the car in case it starts to rain again. So you can see all the holes I've been digging out here. It's actually pretty easy to dig because the ground is so soft. So I've been taking advantage to probe around and dig in places where I wouldn't normally have tried because the signals were so weak. But this was just a weak signal on the surface, and now it's turning into something quite strong. So we'll see what I can bring out of here. My hole's actually gotten kind of deep and narrow, so I'm gonna have to make the hole a little larger to be able to dig effectively. Okay. Ooh, I think I pulled something out of there. Still something left. That's what I'm finding. Each one of these holes that I dig actually has several specimens, and it's hard to localize any one of them until you pull enough out of the hole. There we go. Let me just see if I can isolate this one pretty quick. There we go. Okay, so that's a fairly large specimen, and there's more of them down in that hole. So, and this one was actually right next to it in the dirt pile. So two of them came out in that one little pile, and there's still more stuff in that hole. That's a nice one. So these three specimens typify the minerals that I find out here. The one on the right is almost certainly euxenite, and they're always kind of gray and rounded. They don't have a good crystal form. Likewise, the one on the left is a columbite, and they're also kind of formless masses. Whereas the davidite, or what I think is davidite, always is shiny and has facets, has one or more facets on it. So I can quickly identify most of the specimens that I find out here. I've been walking around about 45 minutes late this afternoon, and I just encountered an area where I've previously found specimens, and it looks like it's going to be a productive spot for me this afternoon. So let me see what I got here. So this one I didn't even have to dig for it. I could see this shiny face sticking out of the ground right next to my probe. So this looks like another davidite. So just up the hill there was where I just found that nice little shiny davidite probably. And I found another hit next to this tree. So I have to work around this tree a little bit, but there we go. So I just had to scrape off the pine needles there. So it's right on the surface. And this is a more typical davidite because it's got the facets shiny black. So, and it's starting to rain again, so I think I'm gonna have to call it a day. But it's been a good one. I've found a few more specimens up here above the Vestigard. The road right below where I park is right over here, right over this ridge. And it is crossed by a creek here. And earlier today I heard some loggers working way over in the distance, and so I went to visit them. And when I crossed this creek, I noticed quite a bit of radioactivity, and so I decided to try scouring this creek pretty closely, and sure enough, I found my first hit here. So I'll let you know what I find. So it took about 15 seconds to move it, and turns out it's quite a nice big chunk of something. I'll have to get it washed off. I'm going to continue my way, working my way up this creek. It's a nice day. Okay, this is just right up the creek. Down there about 50 feet or so is where I found that last specimen. And I always check right below ledges, because that's where, if things are going to collect, that's where they're going to collect. And especially the radioactive ones will tend to settle down instead of getting flushed downstream. So I may even see something on the surface here. So I think there are a couple of specimens here. Boy, that sure looked like one, didn't it? but it's not. It's not hot. Okay, so this is gonna be some slow digging with all these rocks, but I'll let you know what I find. So this is what I found down in that crevice. It's another, probably one of these Davidites. I'm still walking up this creek. It's pretty rough. And you have to differentiate between the radioactivity from the native rock, which is all around, and then a hot spot. So this is what the native rock sounds like. But then when you get to a hot spot, it starts getting a little higher. So I'll see what I've got here. All right, this took some digging because it was buried way down deep, but it was worth it because it kept getting hotter and hotter. It's got the typical faceted side, and this side actually looks pretty interesting too. It looks like some sort of crystal, terminated crystal growth there. So I think that was worth all the effort. So I'm still working my way up this creek, and I'm getting a lot of hits, but I'm not bothering with the smaller ones or the ones that are most difficult to get to, because some of them are just going to be really tough. So I'll save those for another day or let somebody else find them. But this one is pretty hot, and it's you know, so I've definitely got something down there, and it doesn't look like it's too difficult to dig, so I'm going to just try pulling out a few rocks here, see if I can make some pretty quick progress. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, it seems to be more to my side. So I'm going to clear my staging area a little bit. Yep. Okay. I moved it. Now let's just get out scoop by scoop. There we go. All right. Where's a good spot? Probably up here. That's not it. There it is. All right. That looks like a nice little crystal. Yeah. Got some crystal form to it there. It's hard to imagine something this small is so hot, but it is. Well, you can see what this wash is like when it rains. That's how these minerals got washed down here. It's turned out to be a glorious morning. This is Wednesday, and I've been here for 3 days now. So it typically starts out like this, sunny in the morning, but then the monsoon rains come in the afternoon, and yesterday it was torrential. So there's my car up there, and I wanted to show you the creek that I walked up yesterday crosses the road right here, and it goes up for, I'll have to measure it, but I've probably been up at a mile or so. And then I discovered this little tributary yesterday that I also continued to follow up, and it's also hot and yielding specimens. So it's what I'm going to continue to do today is go on up that creek and see how far it goes, and maybe it'll lead me to the pegmatite where all these specimens are coming from. This is the spot where yesterday it started that torrential rain, so I had to stop, but I came right back to it via my GPS and found this specimen, which is a nice size, but it's not terribly hot. It's not nearly as hot as the other specimens, which so far I found davidite and euxinite out here. So I'm thinking that this is probably, based upon the appearance and the fact that it's not terribly hot, that it's probably a columbite. So right down there is where I just pulled out that, what I think is a columbite. And I walk up and I'm getting all kinds of hits. I think there's just thousands of specimens in here, but I try to figure out which ones are most easy to get to and that are the most localized. So this one isn't terribly hot, but it's very localized right here. So I'm going to dig a little bit and see if it gets hotter quicker. And if not, I'll just move on. So I've already removed some of the larger rocks to give me a little bit better access to the area. And I've got a little staging area over here. So I'll remove a layer and we'll see if it gets hotter. If it doesn't, it just means that it's the native rock around here is created a little localized hot spot, but I'm thinking it's probably a specimen. The question is whether it's worth the effort. So let's see. I would say it's got a little hotter. Yeah, I would say it's got a little hotter. So let's carry on. Make sure I didn't. I could have already pulled something out of there, which is so typical of these spots under a ledge like this, is it'll actually collect several specimens. So let me try to find this one first. Let me see. Okay, back here it's, and over here it's quiet, so I'll spray this out a little bit more. See if I've really got a hot rock here. Yeah, I think I do. It's not very hot. Here we go. Okay. Here's a convenient little spot. You can almost see it in the camera. Okay, it's in this handful here. So let's see which one it is. Something over here. Uh-oh. There it is. Yep. From the appearance, I would say this is another little columbite. It's a rounded black, very dull color, and given that it's not very hot, I would say it's another piece of columbite. And let's see, here we go. So I don't know whether I'll continue digging in here or not. There's definitely something else in there though. Still coming up this little creek, and here's another historical prospect, and it's interesting. I think they must just put a bunch of dynamite down and blow a big hole and see what's down there. So I don't know what they were looking for. Probably mica. But now it's just this giant hole surrounded by the remnants from the explosion. Oh, okay, I'm probably about the mile point up this creek, but you can see it's getting more and more difficult to walk in, more and more of the country rock. And so I'm going to move uphill and follow it up there. So after coming all the way up that creek, I decided just to finish scaling this mountain. And I'm almost right at the peak. The peak is 24 feet higher at 8524. And you can see it's a beautiful view up here. I can actually see a lake off there in the distance. So I don't know what that is. And I've got a little bit of a cell signal. So I'm going to be sending a few messages, catching up on my email if I can. So this is a great little destination. It only takes about 3 hours to walk up here. That was quite a climb up to the top of that mountain. And as I've been coming back down, I've been scanning fairly carefully all the way down. And I've just gotten to the edge of the area where I found specimens in the past. So the mountain's up there, and downhill from here is where I found a couple of dozen specimens. And sure enough, right as I got to the edge of that area, I've got my first little hit here. Right in here. So let me see what I can find here quickly. But that's pretty cool that my surveying over the past half dozen trips is starting to pay off. So I know now where the specimens are, and I know where they're not, because I've been over done a lot of very scenic hiking, but without yielding any specimens to speak of. Just a lot of hot country rock. All right. I wouldn't be surprised if I've already moved it. Yep. There we go. Let me just see. That looks like it. Yep. Okay, so this looks like probably, judging by how hot it is, probably a Davidite. So that's pretty cool. If you've watched a few of my videos from this spot, you'll note that I've talked about this big hole where I've pulled literally dozens of specimens out of, and there's actually several other holes nearby that have been quite productive. And last night, you remember the water was running down here, running down the road, and right here evidently forms an eddy, and it's been described to me as an alluvial placer, where the specimens, as they come down, if they're close to the side here, they'll get pushed out of the current and they'll collect in this placer, and they'll stay there. They never get washed out because of the eddy current. That's the way I think of it anyway. And so I'm always thinking there must be other alluvial placers, and when you can find them, they're really cool because you can just collect a lot of specimens. Well, after that epic hike this morning up the mountain and back, I had a little bit of energy left, and I just decided to go for another hike. And of course I take my meter. All of a sudden I find this hot spot, and it was really hot, and I dug out a specimen and thought, hey, this is pretty cool. And then I packed up ready to walk on, but I checked and the hot hole was still hot. So I kept digging and pulling stuff out, and within an hour and a half I pulled out 12 specimens. And believe it or not, that hole is as hot as when I got there. So I think I've found another alluvial placer, and I'll be going back and digging there some more over the next day or so. This is the spot where I pulled out a dozen specimens yesterday in about an hour and a half. And so I've come back here today to try to pull out some more. This time I brought my heavy shovel. And so the technique I'm going to be using is to pull out a shovelful at a time, put it up here, scan it, and if I find something radioactive, I'll sort it out. That one doesn't have anything, so I'll dump it over here in my kind of dump area that I may come back to later if I want to search it again for less obvious pieces. But let's see if I can just find one down here. My hole's gotten pretty large, about the size of the shovel itself, and so here's a shovel full. Nothing. Okay. But I did show you how hot this was, right? I don't forget. Let me just show you. So there's still at least one more specimen. I would bet there are quite a few more specimens in there. I actually think I've got one in here. Yeah, I've definitely got one in here. So now I need to go and dump this dirt someplace where I can sort through it. Okay, here's that shovel full of dirt. And just a matter of spreading it out, getting my meter, seems to be in this side. Let me just see if I can get a handful. Well, oh, I had it after all. There we go. Ah, there's more than one piece in here. Okay, I'm going to put this back in my shovel over here. So you might wonder why I bother to try to find these pieces that are just barely radioactive. It's because some of the best, well, one of the best minerals that I found out here, and I've literally found just one, is a xenotime. And it's a rare find for a collector. And it's not very radioactive, so I'm always checking out even the ones that are very weak. So I've got one here. All right. And these are the two little guys that I just pulled out of that shovel full. Looks like probably Davidites, although you won't really know until I get them back home and can test them with my X-ray fluorescent detector. to give you an idea of how sensitive my instrument is, and how I've learned to differentiate between the radioactivity that's in the surrounding rocks. So in here, you know, you might think there's some hits, and they may be actually some small ones, but I'm not interested in the small ones right now. I'm interested in the big ones. And I'll tell you what I listen for. You hear that? As I swing back and forth, I get a little higher in pitch. And then I move a little closer, and it gets stronger. And now I've moved past it. So let's go back here. There we go. So very quickly I can isolate the specimen if it's a really strong one. And this one is big enough and strong enough that I started finding it several feet away. So I'm hopeful that this one's going to be a nice specimen. Didn't hear anything in that shovelful. Nothing in that one. Okay, so it seems to be this way a little bit. This is a gorgeous day to be out here digging. It's cool, and it didn't rain yesterday, so the ground is a little firmer where I'm walking. But it's not too hot. Now if I could just do something about the mosquitoes. But they're not too bad this time of the day. It's the evening that really gets to you. Whatever it is, I think it's going to be a good specimen. This one has really lodged itself way down underneath a ledge, big flat ledge, which means it's been there for a long time, at least as long as that big flat rock has been there. There we go. He could hide, but he can't escape my detector. All right, let's just dump him out right here. I bet you it'd be a nice big one. Okay. I think that's the screamer. Somewhere right down in here. Oh, it's over here. All right, I bet you it's this one. There it is. Well, it's not huge. But it's got two flat sides at least. Looks like a flat edge, flat bottom. Yeah, this is a nice crystal. I don't know whether you can see that there. Yeah, that was a screamer. Well, of course, we know better than to. Look at that. There's more of them down there. Oh my goodness. But what I found in this particular creek is that whenever you find one specimen, you're likely to find more, because whatever it caused them to come down and stop, it applies to any specimen that comes down here. And so over the thousands or millions of years, every specimen that comes down here finds a reason to stop, and that's why they collect in certain spots. So it's pretty fascinating, because I can walk for 100 yards and not get a hit like this, and then all of a sudden I'll get a honey pot that's full of these things. So it's very interesting. These are the specimens that I found just this morning, and there are 15 of them. When you combine them with the 12 that I found yesterday in the same area, that's 27. And so what's exciting about today's find is the different types of minerals that these represent. We have, this is almost certainly a euxenite, and I'm going to give you an idea of how hot it is. It's pretty hot. Likewise, that's almost certainly a davidite. That looks like a perfect crystal to me. It's not quite as hot for some reason, but I'm almost certain that's a davidite. Now, this is certainly a davidite. And you can see it's got all these facets. Plus, it's wicked hot. I think that's a sure sign of a davidite. Now, nothing too surprising about all this, but let me show you this piece here, which is one of the larger pieces. So you would think it'd be pretty hot compared to this davidite, but we can see that it's not all that hot. That tells me that it's a columbite. Okay, so once again, no surprises here, but this is the real surprise right here. Now, I remember saying in one of my little vignettes when I was telling y'all why I spend so much time chasing down little signals, weak signals. Well, listen to how weak this one is. See, it just barely registers. Plus, look at the shape of it. It's kind of square, and I can tell that the crystal runs up and down. This, I think, is the second zenithine that I've found out here, which is really exciting. I can tell by the color, by the shape, by the fact that it's very slightly radioactive, and that is why I spend so much time and effort chasing down these little signals, just for the opportunity to find this, what is considered the holy grail, one of the holy grails of mineral collectors, at least for radioactive mineral collectors. So that's really exciting. I'll be anxious to get home and put it on my X-ray fluorescent detector, and it should yield almost pure yttrium, and so that'll be really neat if that's the case. This is quite a hike, very scenic, very rugged, and lots of hot spots, and occasionally I'll find one that's like wicked hot. So, and then I have to stop and dig this one, even though it looks pretty rocky in here. So after digging for a while in this silvery hole, you can see the silver all over the place. I finally came out with one of the really hot ones. So let me see if I can just find it here without too much trouble. Let's see, I need to put my instrument over here. Nope. Okay, well that's at least one of them. Didn't sound like... I think there's more than one. Okay, well, let's find the hot one first. There it is. Well, it's going to come out looking like a solid piece of silver with all this paint. Let me get a little closer here. Looks like a nice crystal. Yeah, looks very nice. Got the facet on the side and this different crystal habit on the front with the ridges. Okay, I finally got this silver hole to cool off a little bit, but only after finding these nice pieces. This one especially is quite large. Well, this is quite a picturesque place to be rock hounding, and here I appear to have found the ancient tablets of the Ten Commandments. Isn't that cool? And right next to them is a hot spot. So let's see if this spot turns out to be as auspicious a dig as the tablets might suggest. Well, it looks like the tablets were a good omen, and this is really a very nice specimen, one of the nicer ones I found today. So here's one final batch of rocks that I found this afternoon. I'm quite pleased with all the success I've had on this trip. Tomorrow I'll be breaking camp and heading back to Tucson with a stopover in Santa Fe for a day or two. I'm looking forward to putting this video together and analyzing these rocks. There's a lot of analysis that goes on after these trips in order to figure out exactly what types of minerals these are. So thanks for watching my video, and if you ever want to go out rock hounding, just let me know.